Secondhand Talent family? It's your boy Steiner here with another episode of Secondhand Talent with the wonderful Evan Seideman and Shane LaVigne of Whippersnap Music and Arts Festival, the co-founders thereof, amongst many other things which we're about to get into. Evan, Shane, so glad to have you both on the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having us.
What he
So,
said.
right on consensus. I love it.
Mhm, mhm.
So see if we have consensus on our first traditional question. Shane, Evan, I pose to each of you. Had you never heard the term secondhand talent before? What did you think when you first heard it?
I'll go to boss over there first.
I'm honestly not sure. I mean, I had no idea. I was just thinking, I guess for me, I was just thinking it was going to be, a thing that's focusing more on local area music, kind of just like from what you were even mentioning with the Boda Cheetah thing, like you're like looking at the what's happening in your on your home front and looking to spread the word and build it up. And I appreciate you having us here. If that's, either way, I do appreciate you having us here. So,
Oh, no, I love the answer, and yeah, and at the time of this taping, the Bodhicitta weekend actually just passed. So if you were there at Alpine Valley and we saw you, you may see yourself in the documentary. Who knows? Evan, over to you,
Yeah.
buddy.
Secondhand talent. So when I think of that, I think of, the talent is always the music, right? And front facing for the consumer. So the secondhand talent, I think, is you know, uh, the grunt work, if you will, the unsavory, the not so special type thing. So when I heard that initially, that's why I was like, okay, secondhand talent. I think that's where I'm going with. So that's my final answer. I'll lock it in for $1 million.
Now, I think you both win the million because on the one hand, it's
I'm
something
not
that
splitting it
is
with him though.
no, no, no. I said you both win a million. A million.
wow.
Let me change my response. Both went a million because on the one hand, it is something that I continue to not know what it is. It's ever evolving. We're always bringing on uh, different facets of the type of secondhand talent, though, that Evan was talking about. We shine the spotlight on the people who shine the spotlights. The goal of the show is to highlight those spaces in the music industry that make live music possible. Our LDs, our front of house guys, our security, our producers, our stage managers, everybody, the real unsung heroes of the live music performance amongst so many other categories that we know of. And, we got to this conversation because you two are the co-founders of Whippersnap, but what I'd like to get into is kind of that being, I mean, Evan, to say summarily what you pretty much nailed it on the head is it is, everybody else. It is the talent that is no less than who is on the stage, just often overlooked.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah. So I guess first way I would want to get into this is, where did each of you kind of come from in the music space to get to, festival production, which is, a whole thing in and of itself. And ultimately, how you guys cross paths. Whoever would like to go first.
I'll turn to the old man. I'll go to my elders.
I've been doing like this type of shit on smaller scales for a long time. And then um basically I started throwing a party at my buddy's barn called Wagon Fest. And Wagon Fest was awesome. It was a ton of fun. And it got like out of hand pretty quickly to the point where like we had to make a decision. Are we gonna like, is this gonna be like a legit thing? Otherwise, I can't do this anymore because I don't want to go to jail. And that's pretty much what I thought was gonna happen. So that's when Evan and Kevin and Kevin Sisner, giving him props on this one too.
A boy.
We put together Whippersnap in 2011. That was the first one.
Yeah.
Then we we did it in 2012 and 2013, all at different freaking parks. And then we took a break for 11 years. And just the timing, the all the circumstances, all arrows pointed towards us picking this back up. It's I mean, we can get into some of that in a little bit, but I mean, it's just kind of, it's been a constant. I mean, like, I play in bands. I've always played in bands. I'm now playing in a band out in St. Pete's called Minim. A ton of fun, and the whole music scene out here is absolutely amazing. And that was like another huge thing that made me want to do this again, is that the park is phenomenal. If you come out, you'll see it. The people out here, they rally behind local music like pretty much like nothing like I've ever seen. I mean, it's just, they show up. And yeah, it's really good. When we've obviously, as the years have gone by, we've built up some killer connections. And like, I mean, we had a lot of fun this year with Herm crushing lighting out at Whippersnap, and we're looking forward to having doing it again next year. And yeah, and then I mean, Evan came into the picture when Barefoot Fred was pretty young. Like, I mean, he showed up at Liquid Blues and freaking followed us home and has been around ever since. Like,
I had to put in my time before things came to be like that. So, I mean, pretty much piggying off what Shabo said, he said it well, is I think the bigger thing is that being on the road with these guys and going around, regionally and going to certain events. I think we looked at a lot of things that were good and a lot of things that I thought we could change. So, having the mindset together that we're like, hey, why don't we bring it to the next level? And there's a lot of intricacies that go to that, but first and foremost is just really enjoying each other's company. Now, hey, that doesn't mean everything was always gravy, baby, all the time. There was a lot of growing pains and a lot of things that we've learned to come where we're at, and we still have a a lot of roads to travel in that regard. But we really enjoyed working with one another and having the ideas that we put forth to put the events that we have and ones that we're going to be doing moving forward. So
it's like, I think we've focused, like a big focus for Whippersnap branding in general has been production. We want to be we're a boutique music festival, and our goal is to bring you a big music festival experience. And it's again, as we've now found a home where we can actually continue to do this at, I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am. Like, I mean, this is freaking Whippersnap 5, and it's the first one that's been at a park where it's already been held at before. It's crazy.
Back to back, baby.
Yeah. So like,
So
being
nice.
able to expand on a park, it's just like going into this year, knowing what we know about the venue. I'm just really excited about it,
Right. Consistency, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated things in all of live music. The ability to know what you're going into is very, very underrated. And it's different than entirely different than going to a familiar venue or even a different venue. I mean, we're talking about, like you mentioned, a park, a complete grounds, a whole area that you then have to, like, as you mentioned, it's boutique. You have to curate it and make it so it's uniquely Whippersnap. So you mentioned that big break. Let's get back to what was the genesis for the first Whippersnap festival.
Okay, so Wagon Fest, like I
So
said,
it outgrew its size.
it started off as a party, okay, and then it basically changed into, by the last 2 years in a row we did it, we had a keg truck with 30 kegs on it, and we pretty much went through all of them both years. And I mean, and it's like, it was getting to be a bit much, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I remember, like, the last year in particular, like, my wife and I were in the camper sleeping And I woke up in the middle of the fucking night and I'm like, are the cops here? I mean, I was that paranoid. And I'm like, dude, I I could have gotten into some serious shit for that. And had something happened, like we had a couple incidences where we had like nothing bad happened, but it came close, you know, like a guy drove over like an area where there was a tent and like no one got ran over, but it was like, dude, you're fucked, man. You know, that's why you do this legitimately. That's why we have, you know, corporations and we have insurance policies in play, and we just, you know, there's tickets are written out with rules and regulations and everything, your terms and conditions. It's just it's a ton of shit, dude, you know. And it's like these things are a blast, and yes, you want them to always be without incidents, but there's no guarantee on any of that, you know. So I mean, it's another thing I think what I'm really liking right now too is like we're kind of like the festival we're putting on, it's not a really young crowd. Like it's, I mean, it's not like, I think the average age is probably between like 30 and 60, you know. I mean,
Yeah, that's our
yeah,
sweet spot. Yeah.
That's nothing to,
Older crowd that's been and done things, doesn't it knows how to do it, right? And
yeah.
that's a high level way of talking about it, but a crowd that can appreciate good stuff and no bullshit attached. So we try to do our best to have things in place that don't lend themselves to that. So
yeah, I mean, it's just doing it legitimately, you
mhm.
know. And then I mean, as far as the rest of it goes, you know, it's you know, I mean, if you've talked to other people too, and I don't know if you've ever done any like events or anything, but it's you're basically building a city for the weekend, you know. I mean, it's like, so
Yep.
you gotta have all of the bases covered, like everything you would need at a city for the weekend, you have to have that at yours. And you know,
Mhm.
it's just tons of little things and little contracts and just negotiations over and over and over with bands, with vendors, with you know, security, with all your production. It's just, you know, in our case, we have a park that has a lot of amenities, so we don't have a lot of the overhead that we've had at other parks too. Like, so I mean, I think we brought in a total of 8 porta johns this year, and I mean, we didn't even need that many, you know. We have so many bathrooms at the park, and they're everything's like in a, I don't know, it's a really nice tight location. I mean, you just walk from one stage to the next. There's bathhouses with showers. There's all the RV camping is all surrounding where the stages and everything are, and that's all shaded in the woods. I mean, it's pretty fucking dope, dude. I mean, and throwing it in,
Sounds great. Yeah.
yeah, and throwing it in Florida in February, it's like that was like the when I realized that was a thing that we could do, because coming from Illinois, that's not an option, right? So again, all of a sudden you're just like, wait a minute, we can actually fucking do this in February. And it's like,
Yeah.
and it was a really, for year one, it was awesome to see how many people that had been at Whippersnap in the past made the trip out from Illinois. It was like, I mean, the park's really well set up for RVs. So like everyone was, they would fly out from Illinois or whatever to Tampa, and then they would take an Uber up, and they would have an RV rented and dropped off on site. So you roll up and you got your house on the grounds ready to rock. Yeah.
And I think his passion, as you can see, of Rami, is when he hit me up initially and said, I want to do this again. Are you in or not? And I left it to no chance and said, yeah, let's do it again. So here we are, without no fail either. So obviously there's things in that, but yeah, he
Yeah, we got another buddy of ours, Dylan Conway, that we're rocking a lot with. I want to give a shout out to him because he's a badass, and we're having a good time, like working out the details for the one that's coming up in 9 months.
Yeah,
And
it's my other sheriff right there. He's a gem. So it's great meeting along people through the way that are that dedicated, that they can also speak the same language that Shane and I can. It's we're not for everybody, but you know, through the years we've known how to get things done together, and this guy has been a great addition to help us succeed.
So it sounds like a great solid team. It's a consistent location. And the dates are announced are February 20 to 22, 2025. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
we'll open for early admission on Wednesday, the
Okay.
19th.
Mhm.
But yeah, the dates, really gets kicking full swing on the 20th.
Outstanding. So, folks, check the links in the description, by the way, if you want to go check out the website and festival and see some recaps of years past. We've got all those links down there in the description. Hey, folks, Steiner here. Today's episode is brought to you by Sweet Buns. As you can see on the hat right there, Sweet Buzz is an Illinois local edible brand brought to you by the independent social equity craft grower Cisco Farms. Sweet Buzz was born out of deep friendship and a shared sweet tooth between the founders. Generational confectionery experience goes into all of the handcrafted fast-acting edibles, and you can take my word on that. The Sweet Buzz edible line includes Sweet Sparks, which I've got right here. Sweet Sparks are coated chocolatey candies with 1 milligram of THC per piece. It's the ultimate for flexibility and microdosing. They also have the Sweet Something cups, 10 milligram cups, and peanut butter, mint chill, caramel met cookie, and my personal favorite, cookie got creamed. Finally, there is the Sweet M powder, which is a 10 milligram sachet of lightly sweetened powder that can be used just about anywhere. Sweet Buzz can be found in over 100 dispensaries across the state of Illinois, and they're coming into more each and every day. Follow them online at Get Sweet Buzz on Instagram and TikTok, and check them out at getsweetbuzz.com. Thanks again, and back to the interview.
Excellent.
Um, I did wanna bring up, so now were all of the Whippersnap festivals in Florida, or was this something that was moved to Florida? Because that's kind of something I
Oh,
was
okay.
wondering was the
Whippersnap
location.
2011 was in Earlville, and
Stonehouse
then
Park.
at
Yeah, so a
Stonehouse
little
Park.
outside of DeKalb, basically, for you
Yeah.
Illinois people.
So we threw a festival there in 2011,
Mhm.
and then we're not going to get in and waste time on that.
Nope.
Basically, the park was
No,
not
it's just about the
stable.
location. Yep,
Yeah.
just about
So
when
No,
what.
no, no.
we
Other
ended up
things.
moving we had already put out deposits and like decided to go a lot bigger, and it was a kind of a pain in the ass. We had like on 2012 we were crazy kids, and we threw some crazy we yeah we
Oh, boy. Yeah.
basically we ended up switching. We were in mid promotion for 2012. Year 20, first one, 2011 went off awesome. It was freaking fantastic. And 2012 was fantastic too. Just
Yeah.
wasn't great financially. But
Oops.
we moved over to Rockford for that one.
Yeah.
And
Myron
then
Park.
and that place again, throwing the festival, talking about all the different things, like what we have now. We have infrastructure. We have a permanent main stage that's got like a covered pavilion that we have power all over the park for. We have the showers. We have all the RV spaces with power. These are all things that we have at the park now. And in 2012, we had nothing.
Yeah,
Like
it was
bathrooms,
it
just
stressed the budget quite well, and other things, and the logistics were very tough with that.
there
So
was no power anywhere.
no.
So anyway, it went off and it was great. We had a fucking good time.
Yeah.
And then 2013, we switched, we tried it one more time, and that was at Hideaway Lakes Campground.
In
And
Yorkville, yeah.
it was fun, but the park was not for us, and that was that. So basically that was when it was just focused on other things, and that's pretty much what happened for the next,
Decade.
uh 10 years. So like it's kind of like the perfect storm for Whippersnap. So like I'll try and make it brief, but like I I had moved out to Florida. I had taken a break from playing in bands, really wanting to play in a band. I heard about this awesome festival called Orange Blossom Jamboree, and it happened like 30 minutes down the street from my house. So I went out there with the intention of meeting a band, and I did. I met my band Minim, who they had played. They were just getting started at the time too. It was like one of their it was like their third show or something. But I met them there and met the bass player there, and I ended up starting to play with them. But while I was there, I walked around on the grounds and I just freaking kirked out the whole time. I couldn't believe it. I just, everywhere I was looking, I was like, dude, this place is just unreal. And so yeah, it was, I said probably 20 times over the course of the weekend that I want to throw a music festival at that park. And then
he's texting me these things too, by the way. He's very much that way in our dynamic. He's like, he's very vocal. So he's like, I found this place.
Real-time color commentary.
But then like flash forward now, so I start playing with Minim, and I'm like, and I'm really seeing how awesome this St. Pete's music scene is, and how just great the whole crew is, and then I'm hearing word that Orange Blossom Jamboree is not going to happen anymore. And this was a festival that had happened for 13 years in a row, and it was like the staple out here, and had it. I mean, this park that we're at, like so many people had been to that festival at this park, and it's a thing, And when I heard officially that it was not happening again, it was like, okay. So I just picked the dates, signed the contract, and first thing I did is started up a Florida-based LLC. And then, yeah, it's just kind of like I said, the perfect storm. It's like one boom, boom, boom,
I mean, that's kind of how these things tend to happen, where it's just like, you're wanting it for so long, but then all of a sudden the dominoes fall in place and you're just like,
Right.
oh, well, you know what? Like the idea's been there. Now's the time to seize the moment. So talk a little bit about last year's festival and, how that integration went into the new park and bringing it over there and what the reception was like.
Um,
Uh,
it was received extremely well. I mean, that was probably my favorite part of after it was over, just seeing the way people were talking about it everywhere. It was cool, yeah, I mean, as far as integration goes, yeah, it's like it was good. And it's definitely just going to continue. It's one of those things. I'm like I said, it will just year after year, we're just going to keep outdoing ourselves a little bit, and that's pretty much the plan. It's like the goal here is to like bring the best music festival that we could possibly bring to this park within the parameters that we're offered, So I mean, it's going to be a kind of a juggling dance every year, and as we have more attendance, like let's say, then there'll be things like more money to play with, and which means crazier production, and just stuff like that.
I mean,
So
the power and amenities themselves, and somebody in that target age range, it sounds like, as you've been describing it, it sounds like the perfect festival. For somebody like me, like it sounds like the perfect festival that I
yeah,
would enjoy, that my friends would enjoy, like that laid back vibe in a
agreed.
comfortable setting.
Well, and that's another thing, we haven't even really talked about the music itself. I mean, I thought we knocked it out of the park with the music this year. And I mean, we had more horns at a festival than, I mean, have you ever seen that many horns at a festival, Evan?
No, I mean, outside of Jazz Fest that we went to back in
Right.
2018, my man.
Yeah.
So that's a little different a thing. But I mean, before we go down that hole, the biggest thing too is that what I like to say is that we treat everyone the same. A patron doesn't matter what it is, but always me, that I took personally, what I could do is just ask people their experience and would they come back. And obviously we sway a little bit away of things, but the genuineness that I saw in people's face, that again, these are people, these are not my friends. My
Right.
friends, they'll say whatever whatever, they'll tell me what I want to hear for the most part. But like,
Yeah.
just seeing all this new faces to an event that me and my friends have been doing for years and working hard for, I think speaks a lot to our motivation of what we want to keep doing at that particular park. Because again, it was a lot of give and take with the park and what we did. So it was nice to see that come together and then see the attendees really enjoy themselves.
And I think that, you know, the continuity that I was talking about earlier as far as the venue goes speaks a lot to the intent that goes into
Totally.
the
Yeah.
the festival, in them, you know, wanting to bring you back and be a presence there.
Yeah, we were thrilled to be invited back. So we're gonna keep making sure that that's the case.
So let's go down that music rabbit hole you were talking about. What was last year's lineup like? How did we get there? Talk about that. You mentioned horns.
I mean, yeah. I mean, last year got there. The lineup last year, I mean, obviously it was largely shaped by like the Florida homies for sure. I mean, it was we tried to get like it's okay. This is hard because like, and it's gonna suck every year. Like trying to figure out what bands to put on the bill, what bands not to, because I mean, one thing we haven't touched on is we're not overlapping any music at all. Like the festival is set up. There's two stages. They're like about a 2.5 minute walk in between stages. And when one band finishes, you got a 5 minute
Bang,
break till the other
bang,
band starts.
bang.
So it's like there's no overlapping bands at all, which means we are limited on bands we can put on a schedule, you
It
know?
reminds me of Jam in the Dam, in Amsterdam. It was 6 bands, and each one played a set each night, and it was always alternating, so there was just 6 shows every night, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a total of 28 sets of music being played over the weekend. And
Correct.
then, yeah, and
Nice.
it's just kind of, and he just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's fun. Both stages are unique because I mean, you got the pavilion stage, and it's a big, nice covered pavilion. The lights, the lasers look super cool under there. And then when you get out into the field on the home team stage, and I mean, I'm really looking forward to like seeing that stage this year because the lasers, the way they shoot across the field, it's like it's a large open field, and we didn't have as many lasers on that stage last year as we will this year, and just seeing the spread across the whole field is going to be awesome. Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
lasers
many
is
room for
never a bad
activities
thing.
out there. We had a bonfire going out there as well. So there was a lot of different ways to kind of pick your evening, pick your day when you're out in the field. So you weren't confined to a certain thing. So
And
it's
if you felt inclined, you could technically see every single set of every band from the whole weekend, you know?
See, that is something that I think is truly remarkable to pull off, especially in, you know, kind of the oversaturated lineup era of festivals that we kind of find ourselves in today. I mentioned Jam and the Dam earlier, and it was a great year. It was Humphreys McGee, Yonder Mountain String Band,
Keller was out there.
not that the next year. That year it was
Yep.
Les, The Bridge, and I believe a friend of the festival, the New Master Sounds.
Nice.
Wow.
So that was the first time I saw them in 2010, and yeah, they knocked my socks off. They were fantastic, and I was so grateful that I got to see 3 of my favorites, Les Humphreys and Yonder, but at the same time get to catch every new Master Sound set. Like, I thought that was an incredible concept,
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
this is really the first time that I can think of that I've heard of a festival that has that same intention and structure, and I really, really appreciate that. I think that that is a true gift to the music fan that wants to come to the show, get the full festival experience, but really, you know, has love for all the bands that are playing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
it's a
that's
great
the thing, that's the
question.
goal, man. It's like on top of it, as someone who's played in bands, I mean, and have played at these festivals, it's like you want to be able to play in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? When you're the band playing, you want to be able to play in front of the whole damn crowd, right? And I mean, and it doesn't ever really happen until maybe even when the headliner's on, you still don't have every person from the freaking festival down there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a festival. It's just stuff going off all over the place. So by overlapping bands, I mean, again, if we had a monster like where we had 20,000 people, sure, you're going to do that, but we don't and it's never going to be. I mean, we're going to cap out with the park. We sell 2,500 tickets and we're done, you know? So, I mean, that's, yeah.
He's a musician at heart. He became a great producer and promoter of events, but I come as a peasant of I want to see all the bands, you know. So when you break it down of the math and everything, you know, you're talking a couple bucks of bands. If you're really out there trying to get the best bang for the buck, then it's a great way to have. So I'm trying to speak of the common folk, not you know, not this fancy guy who plays in front of everybody and you know, promotes a great music event.
But yeah, so the bands themselves, you know, again, it was a lot of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean, we've had some really awesome regional acts coming in too. But I mean, you know, we had
Have
the
you
thing that
started
I
doing
thought,
master sounds, like how we got them? Like maybe Wesley, give them
well,
that idea.
that was again just blind luck horseshoes stuck up your butt, man. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
the park contract had been signed, and Jam Cruise announced their dates, and their dates ended so that when Whippersnap ended, like, you know, Saturday night went off, Sunday morning, people are going home. The boat is departing Miami at 5 o'clock at night on Sunday. So we were super fortunate to be able to like book routed bands off of Jam
Yeah,
to play at Whippersnap, right? I mean, it was huge.
nice.
And so,
yeah.
and for a first year out the gates, it was like just such a gift, you know? And then this year we had signed the contract for the park, and Jam Cruise announced their dates, and the cruise ship comes in from like the cruise on Wednesday, the 19th, and we open up our gates for early arrival that same day.
You can't make this stuff up, you know? Yeah.
It's really, you know, with good intention comes good fortune, I think. And it's and again, as someone in Chicago, February in Florida sounds magical, and it makes sense that magical things happen at that time
I'm
in
not going
that
to argue with
place.
that logic. I'm not going to argue with that logic.
Like, I feel like we can all agree that this kinda actually makes sense in some sort of way. Like, it's
Totally.
really it's really cool to hear, you know, when your
It's a great way
focus
to spend a weekend in February, man. For
and
real.
when your focus is pulling in local acts, and then this instance happens, and you get a wonderful internationally renowned band like the New Master Sounds. Um, like it just feels like almost like that's supposed to happen, and I think that's, you know, looking back, it's easy to say, but fortuitous of the fact that you guys are going to be in the same space this year, and you know, with all the wonderful stuff that I'm sure you got planned.
Yeah, I
Ticket, tick,
mean, right now we've got a ton of ideas. We've got some offers out to the bands that would be our like biggest bands. And we're kind of, you know, we'll know a lot within the next week. And we, you know, and we kind of, well, this the whole thing with booking, like, is like it was a reminder. It'd been after being so out of it for years, like booking this last year is like it's a constant pivot. You have 4 million ideas, and it's like what you're going to actually end up doing is going to be dictated by all the circumstances that are moving parts around you, you know.
sure.
And you're just like you listen to what the shit's telling you, and try to book again the best possible lineup you can within the parameters of your budget, you know. Because like when it comes to this stuff, like the budget on this shit is everything. You like everyone, it's so easy to be like, oh, we could just do this. Don't. If you're someone who's throwing a music festival, like set your budgets and hold to them, you
Mhm.
know. Like, I mean, it's like work within that, and it's like, and if you succeed, then you can keep freaking building off. Like, okay, well, we did this good, we did this much last year, let's build it up and follow suit. I mean, but you're just like, again, when it comes to doing these things, like it's a lot of fucking work for no guarantee, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway,
Oh, go ahead, Shabo.
I still wanted to make sure we talked about like the music, you know. So like
Yeah.
again, I
That's
mean,
what I was
it
gonna
just, yeah, for Whippersnap, it's definitely at this point it's predominantly a funk fest, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in it too. I mean, like last year we had a blues band. We had Frank Bang, who used to tour with Buddy Guy. That was our one blues band. We had Antelope freaking out there, crushing their Fish tribute act. We got Barefoot Fred back together for the first time in freaking, was it 12 years for a set? It was
Been seeing
fun.
those knuckleheads on stage again.
Had a full horn section sit in with us for a cover of Blame It on the Boogie by the Jackson Five with this girl Kat Hines from out by us, who's, dude, she's fucking unreal, man. She is
Nice.
like 5 foot nothing and just monstrous pipes, man. Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of really talented women on the bill last year too, and it was something that was super cool to see, you know.
Well, hey, sorry, before you get off the women, that's what I was saying. I was like, Kanika Moore, Tammy
Yeah.
Garrett, Sheer Ellis, like, you know, those women, I did it all just to shake hands with them in the green room. Their show. You know, my year of planning and doing all these things was simply worth it just to say hi and introduce myself finally as a big groupie, I guess you can say, with that. So yeah, women were a huge presence. Jessica Jones out there killing it. There was tons.
With Kanika Moore, I saw her play with Talk a few months ago from the time of this taping, and I got to meet her. She is just outstanding in every way. I mean,
Top notch.
what a treat to get to meet her. What a bigger treat to get to see her perform with such a great band. Shout out Talk. Yeah, that is fantastic. I mean, it is, you know,
Yeah, she's awesome. She's also got a band called Doom Flamingo that's phenomenal too. We actually opened up for them at the Floridian 3 weeks ago out here. It was fun.
Little bass player in that band behind there.
Mr. Ryan Stasek.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout
Mr.
out,
Steener.
sir.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So now, I mean, again, as far as it goes for like this year, like we tried to
Yeah, for 2025. Like, tell me
I
what
think
we're thinking. Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing should look, it's not going to be the same, but it should have a similar feel. You know, like, I mean, one thing we kind of put a focus on last year was to make like a flow throughout the day. So like the music started off and it was more chill. It was more like folky. We had more, you know, just, it got progressively funkier and nastier as the night went on. And that's kind of, I love that. Like, it's a really good way to move through a day. Right. And then, so as far as the bands go, we're definitely bringing in some new Florida acts that did not play. We're definitely bringing some back that were out there. And I mean, as far as our bigger acts, we're crossing our fingers and we're planning some good shit for you guys.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Anything either of y'all wanted to add before we
appreciate you having us on, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I thank you for having us.
Oh.
Support live music and always stay tuned and check out, whippersnapfest.com for updates and new details.
Is whippersnapfest.com on the screen. Also, you'll find the link in the description. You'll find all the information and tickets on sale there. Evan, Shane, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for
having us.
It's been my sincere pleasure. I'm looking forward to Whippersnap. Folks, this is Steiner with another episode of Secondhand Talent, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Sweet.
And that's a podcast. We're done. That's it. I mean, like,
hell yeah. Dude,
yeah.
thanks for having us, Steiner. That was awesome.